Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Epic Freedom News. Our second episode. We're just picking up steam. I know the last episode there were a couple editing errors, and I did miss a couple of F-bombs with the censoring and whatnot. I'm really sorry if you heard me say f***. I'm really sorry if you heard me say f*** and shit. So if anybody was traumatized or offended, email me at epicfreedomnews@gmail.com and I will pay for your therapy. It's Thursday, the 2nd of February. With that being said, let's get right into the news. So our first story is very entertaining, to me at least. I think Rudy Guliani is a funny guy. If you don't know about this show called The Masked Singer, it's one of those stupid NBC half music show, half game show, whatever, where a celebrity will go on stage in some silly costume and start singing. You won't be able to tell who it is until they take the mask off or they vote, or I'm not sure how it works, I could care less. But apparently, Rudy Guliani was on this show. The judges, Jeong and Thicke, walked off in protest. These guys are pretty left-leaning celebrity guys. Apparently it was too much for them. They were too triggered by seeing Rudy Guliani that they just got up and left. As soon as they saw Giuliani, judges Jeong and Thicke quickly left the stage in protest. The show is known for its jaw-dropping surprises when celebrity contestants shed their headpieces after they are eliminated. The reaction to Giuliani was perhaps the most polarizing the show has ever seen since 2020. The Masked Singer faced criticism when another controversial Republican politician, Sarah Palin, was unveiled as the bear. It's Rudy Giuliani dressed up as a fucking ice cream cone. I don't know what these guys, it's funny. That's such a silly reaction. This is what the left does. Because when a Republican enters the Hollywood bubble that they've trapped themselves in, it really pisses them off. Moving on. The New York Times published a story talking about the national debt, the U.S. national debt. It just keeps getting bigger, doesn't it? It's like a balloon. America's gross national debt topped $30 trillion for the first time on Tuesday, an ominous fiscal milestone that underscores the fragile nature of the country's long-term economic health as it grapples with soaring prices and the prospect of higher interest rates. The breach of that threshold, which was revealed in new Treasury Department figures, arrived years earlier than previously projected as a result of trillions in federal spending that the United States has deployed to combat the pandemic. That $5 trillion, which funded jobless benefits, financial support for small businesses, and stimulus payments, was financed with borrowed money. The borrowing binge, which many economists viewed as necessary to help the United States recover from the pandemic, has left the nation with a debt burden so large that the government would need to spend an amount larger than America's entire annual economy in order to pay it off. Some economists contend that the nation's large debt load is not unhealthy, given that the economy is growing. Interest rates are low and investors are still willing to buy U.S. Treasury securities, which gives them safe assets to help manage their financial risk. Those securities allow the government to borrow money relatively cheaply and use it to invest in the economy. For years, presidents have promised to limit federal borrowing and bring down the nation's budget deficit, which is the gap between what the nation spends and what it takes in. Under President Bill Clinton, the United States actually ran a budget surplus in between 1998 and 2001. That would be pretty dope right about now. Keep hearing about this national debt getting bigger and bigger. I don't understand how this works. Because see, when I have debt, I gotta pay it off. It really doesn't seem like they're sprinting to the bank to go pay off that debt. I don't know. Since the pandemic, the government has been really irresponsible with money. As far as I can tell, I'm just a Joe Schmo, just a fucking regular guy. I don't know nothing. But it really seems like investing in animal torture and welfare queens and whatnot really isn't a good use of taxpayer money right now when people can't even work. Despite all this, the media continues to push the narrative that inflation is good. I don't know who they're trying to fool. Inflation is not good. For any dummies out there that need an explanation, if you go to buy something and it's worth twice as much as it was yesterday, it's bad. It's up. You feel like shit. Your wallet is empty. And this is the government. Their wallet is empty. And they're trying to pull money out of its ass. And it's not working. Somebody said yesterday that they didn't think I was patriotic. I said, me? Me? You don't think I'm patriotic? You don't think I love America? Okay. No, that's why I do this. Because I love America and I don't want to see it get f***ed up by retards spending all of our money. That's about as patriotic as it gets, buddy. So, in environmental news, I'm a big environment kind of guy. I like to go green. I like to save the planet. I like to save the energy. They call me Mr. Green. I love green energy and all that shit. It's great. It's good. I recycle everything. I even recycle my garbage. That's how much I recycle. I mix in my garbage with the recycling. So I have more recycling to give the government because they obviously need it to convert into trash cubes that they can then sell to pay off the debt. But anyway, here we have a story from Bloomberg Opinion. So not really necessarily news, but I wanted to read it with you guys just because of how insane it is and how, especially Bloomberg, but a lot of these publications really just try to convince you with such a thinly veiled sense of malice that the world you're living in would be improved by further plunging it into a dystopian, nightmarish vision of hell. It says, what if we blotted out the sun to fight global warming? It's risky, but then again, the path we're on now may be even riskier. See, that's what they do. They propose some f***ed up, evil idea and say, oh, well, do you really like where we're at now? What's the alternative? It's one of those lesser evil type arguments. At least that's kind of the vibe.
Take one last look at the sun, Springfield.
Hey! I've been in Reno for 6 weeks. Did I miss anything?
Let's hear them make their case. One of the great hopes is something called solar geoengineering, notes Clara Fiera Marquez, which is essentially an attempt to figure out a way to cool the planet by deflecting some of the sun's rays before they reach us humans. The science isn't there yet, but a group of scientists argue it should be banned now, and they're not wrong that it's risky and a last resort proposition. Claire argues it's terrifying and terrible in the way that chemotherapy is. We don't want it, but can we deny ourselves the possibility? Like they say, read the whole thing. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to read the whole thing, because I don't have to know that this is some pessimistic bullshit and that these environmental champion folks have a secret agenda to plunge the earth into darkness. No, I'm just kidding. But does anybody really think this is a good idea? I mean, anyway, it. Go ahead. Block out the sun. I don't care. Who needs the sun? It's 2022. I'll just chug Soylent and go stuck on a pacifier somewhere and listen to ASMR. Makes me feel safe. This story from 3 days ago highlights how ivermectin shows antiviral effect against COVID, according to a Japanese company. So Reuters says, Japanese trading and pharmaceuticals company Cowco on Monday said that anti-parasite drug ivermectin showed an antiviral effect against Omicron and other coronavirus variants in joint non-clinical research. The company, which has been working with Tokyo's Kitasato University on testing the drug as a potential treatment for COVID-19, did not provide further details. The original Reuters story misstated that ivermectin was effective against Omicron in phase 3 clinical trials, which are conducted in humans. Clinical trials are ongoing, but promotion of ivermectin as a COVID-19 treatment has generated controversy. Prominent vaccine skeptic Joe Rogan, whose podcast on Spotify has prompted protests by singers Joni Mitchell and Neil Young, has long stirred controversy with his views on the pandemic, government mandates, and COVID-19 vaccines. Rogan has questioned the need for vaccines and said he used ivermectin. See, they mention ivermectin, they gotta bring up Joe Rogan. It just goes to show how synonymous he is with this fake boogeyman of misinformation that the left loves to vilify. just further evidence that it's not about what works, it's about what they're trying to sell. Despicable, but predictable. Now, to close out this segment, and also to bring it full circle with something that also involves Joe Rogan, we're going to talk about Jen Psaki, who, man, is just a whistling tea kettle of dumb shit. Just saying the dumbest shit. I mean, look, this is all in 2 days. Psaki shrugs off crime concerns as part of an alternate universe. Reporter presses Psaki on whether Biden will commit to nominating gay Asian justices if Supreme Court spots open. Psaki accuses Senator Josh Hawley of parroting Russian talking points. What kind of optics are those? Her latest indecipherable turd of an opinion actually sets its sights on Joe Rogan. White House on Spotify's Joe Rogan mess, and this is the Hollywood Reporter, messes, not in quotations. There is more that can be done to inform users, says Press Secretary Jen Psaki. She also said Spotify's COVID disclaimers were a positive step, but there's more that can be done. The White House is weighing in on the Spotify Joe Rogan fiasco. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki in her daily press briefing was asked by Politico's Max Taney about Spotify's decision to add content advisories to podcast episodes that discuss COVID-19 and related issues such as vaccines. This disclaimer is a positive step, but we want every platform to be doing more to be calling out mis- and disinformation. Of course, we hear more about this great war on disinformation that is, frankly, in reality, a war on information itself. Ultimately, our view is that it's a positive step, but there's more that can be done. Yeah, of course there's more that can be done. We might as well just tie up Joe Rogan by his ankles and dip him into a pool of sharks. We gotta silence him. It's a danger to the community, to people's health. People are dying. People are listening to Joe Rogan, and they're dying. This is what they want you to believe. Well, that covers it for our America stories for today. And now we can get into our China segment. So I'm sure most people are aware that the next Olympics are going to be held in China. And because of that, China's been kind of easing in on their citizens. Cleaning the place up. Trying to make it look nice for guests. Grindr disappears from app stores in China amid Olympics crackdown. So for those who don't know, Grindr is a gay hookup app. Gay dating app Grindr has disappeared from multiple app stores in China as authorities tighten control of the country's already heavily policed internet and purge online behavior the ruling community party dislikes. The country's cyber authority is conducting a month-long campaign to root out illegal and sensitive content during the Lunar New Year holiday and February's Winter Olympics. Although the world's most populous nation decriminalized homosexuality in 1997, same-sex marriage is legal, and LGBTQ issues remain taboo. The LGBT community is under pressure, with web content censored and depictions of gay romance in films banned. And this falls under the kind of story similar to China's previous ban on effeminate men. They're going backwards when it comes to the gay stuff. But it is only the Apple Store, so I guess all those gay Chinese dudes are gonna have to buy a Huawei phone.
Try again.
Instead. And amidst all this prep for the Olympics, they've also got their war face on. As China's ambassador to the U.S. warns of military conflict over Taiwan. This stuff's a long time coming. They've been making a scene, I guess you could say, about Taiwan being a part of China and taking over Taiwan, etc., etc. China's ambassador to the United States issued a warning Thursday the U.S. could face military conflict with China over the future status of Taiwan. In his first one-to-one interview since assuming his post in Washington, D.C. last July, Qin Gang accused Taiwan of walking down the road toward independence and added that the Taiwanese authorities, emboldened by the United States, keep going down the road for independence. It will most likely involve China and the United States, the two big countries, in a military conflict. It was an unusually direct statement about the U.S. and Taiwan. Observers say China usually speaks in more general terms, such as saying that the U.S. is playing with fire, which is true. They do have a lot of that kind of grandiose, spooky, but vague language. You're playing with fire, you should be very careful, mob boss threat type stuff. But no, this is pretty explicit. Yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised if the U.S. and Taiwan and China had some sort of militaristic kerfuffle Because like I said, this stuff has been going on for a while. I mean, these countries are in top gear, kind of raring to go. I don't really think we're ready right now as a country to stick our foot in stuff like this. It's certainly not going to simmer down. I mean, Taiwan and China they've been under the Republic of China as a government since 1945. That's fairly recently as far as history goes. So I think they really gotta break free. I am in support of Taiwan. I don't want them to go under. China's big, and their military is big and really disciplined. They're tough guys. You always hear those stories about, and this is real, Chinese soldiers put sewing needles on the collars of their shirt on the lapel so that they keep good posture and they keep their head up, because if they slouch, the needles poke into their jugular veins. That's some f***ing determination right there. Anyway, so there's the news. But now it's time for, drumroll please.
Oh shit, Morty. It's TikTok time.
Bruh.
So the other day, a man asked me why I was so annoying.
I do it just for you, I told him.
He did not like this!
Why can't you just shut the fuck up, he says to me.
Oh, I'll shut the fuck up when you stop being hilarious. You know, every morning as I sit there drinking the blood of aborted fetuses, I think of ways to get under the skin of cisgendered men who think the sun shines out of their ass despite never wiping it themselves. It doesn't take long, because big words confuse you, don't they, Glenn? You only have 3 catchphrases. Sandwich, kitchen, misandry. Congratulations on having a 5th grade reading level. See, when you call me annoying, all I hear is, I hide my estranged relationship with my mother under the guise of asking women to make me a sandwich. We all know your mother never made you that sandwich, so I certainly won't start now.
So, is this a sign of autism? Overly energetic, weird face, Jim Carrey thing that some women like to do?
Ooh! Somebody stop me!
What I heard basically was, but I mean, good for her. I mean, I'm sure she's out there crushing the patriarchy somewhere, doing God's work. I'll let her be.
D is for drag. You can strut and dance in clothes that you love. Dresses, heels, or pants. That's you. N is for non-binary. Don't you know each cloud contains banners from heaven? Or just being a girl. That's you.
Find your fortune falling.
P is for pen. You connect with a vibe no matter the gender. It's about what's inside. That's you.
So these guys are reading the gay BCs. Now the last thing I have a problem with, or I have anything negative to say about, is children. You know, they're kids. I ultimately feel sorry for them, because where the problem lies for me and stuff like this is the mother or father or whatever, but I assume it's the mother because only women do this type of shit. You know, I mean, these kids are basically acting. They weren't reading this book by themselves, and she just happened to walk up and start filming. God forbid I was one of these ladies' kids, and I had to listen to her instruct me to make one of these performative TikToks showcasing something that should be left in private. Using her gay kids as an accessory, like a purse, or the little Paris Hilton fluffy puppy dog that fits inside of it. But I guess nobody's getting hurt. It just seems exploitative of the mom, but what do I know? Does that count as blackface? That's like the good version of blackface.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even like that at all. Yeah. That hit the spot.
Me too. Nothing wrong with this. He's spitting facts. Alright, the last one, then gotta say goodbye.
Well, guys, I think it's time to face it. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are not going to be the ones to help us. Wasn't the Republicans either, so what now? What do we do?
Well, first you should probably take some Accutane, but after that, I mean, look, I don't think anybody, even on the left, truly believed Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were going to be their saviors. I mean, did they? Who knows? Maybe. But there sure is a lot of coping going on in this guy's video. To place so much importance on these politicians that don't give a shit whether you live or die, to the point that it affects your mental health this badly. I mean, I assume, unless this guy's putting on an act, which could very well be the case, but it's sad, but also funny. That's Thursday. Signing off. Epic Freedom News. I will see you